The Brewhouse was created to capture and share with you the long history of the Genesee Brewery. But the brewery itself isn't half as interesting as the beer and the people who make it. Visit GeneseeBrewhouse.com.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Rochester Press Box presented by the Genesee Brewhouse. On site at the Genesee Brewhouse this week, I am Toby Motyka, Bill Pucko is off, and I am joined by mostly a usual cast of characters. Long time no see, Jenna Cottrell,
Seriously.
13 WHAM, in for Mike Catalana. Pat Duffy, WCMF.
Oh, I thought we were all doing this. I'm sorry.
I haven't done that yet either. It's all good. It really makes your beard stick up.
Thank you.
It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Kevin Oklobzija, longtime Rochester sports writer. Really flattering, really. All right, look, we got to get serious for a minute here to start. Full disclosure, this show is taped on Wednesday. At the time of this taping, LeSean McCoy's situation, tricky to follow. Accusations of many, many different things, most directly that he orchestrated a home invasion in which the victim was his ex-girlfriend. This is said through her lawyers. McCoy is denying the allegations. This is all going to play out over time. Most immediately, has it already played out on social media?
You're guilty. In today's world, on social media, guilty until proven innocent.
It's
not how our system works, but that's kind of how it is.
So I feel like no matter what happens with this case, it's not going to actually matter in public discourse. I mean, it'll matter in the terms of guilty or innocent from a legal standpoint, a civil suit, how much money he owes or doesn't owe. But from a fan standpoint, this is going to be awkward moving forward for the Bills.
Well, that's just it. I mean, again, as of what we know right now as we're taping this thing, right? Like, people have made their decision based on the photos that they've seen, and it's easy to make a knee-jerk reaction. I mean, listen, I've got two little girls and season tickets to this team. I have this feeling inside of me, right? Because, let's be real, if this plays out like Ezekiel Elliott did, and it's very possible that it does, this could hang over the team for the entire season. Not that it matters with what's going on here, but how am I supposed to sit down with my daughters and watch these games, which I do, or bring my daughter to the game? What am I going to do? Not stand up and cheer if LeSean McCoy scores? And you're right, he's not guilty, but there's also a chance that he was involved, that had something to do with this. The Bills open training camp in less than 2 weeks. There are going to be protesters with signs standing out at the front of that campus because he's on this roster. And the thing is, you can't even look at those people and say, well, you're wrong, because, I mean, the potential that's...
We don't know. Right, wrong, that's just it, we don't know.
But this is something, too, that is going to hang over him and be his shadow as he moves forward, especially considering that Instagram post, not only was it domestic violence, but there was also child abuse, there was also PED use, and then there was, of course, animal abuse as well. So there's so many things, so many character references saying that, this guy did this. And like you said, I mean, all that information's out there, and people are already making their own decisions based on really just that information, not yet facts.
And what the Bills are saying at this time is they're waiting for more information. Yeah. But there's going to be growing pressure from fans if information doesn't continue to pour in to do something one way or the other. Is it a fair position for the Bills to be in?
It's difficult because the police investigation will move slowly.
Right.
And imagine can you imagine coming to this scene and now what is the truth? You get this story, you get that story, you have this post, there are pictures. Could that have been what happened? Absolutely. Could it have happened from some other reason? It could have. We don't know.
Well, think about this, which makes it even more complicated. Kim Pegula, the only female president of football operations in the NFL, just got the job a month ago after another scandal inside the Buffalo Bills.
Well, look how quickly they took care of that one.
But my point is this, right? No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Kim Pegula, who has several ties to domestic abuse charities through the Buffalo Bills, now has this guy standing in front of her whose jersey they will be selling inside the merchandise tent at camp, who will be drawing fans. Like, that this guy makes your team money. He's valuable to what's moving forward. I mean, if this guy wasn't a star, well, let's all be real here. He'd have been gone tomorrow, right? Like, this wouldn't even be an issue. So her in this brand new position, with her being a woman, and I don't know if that's fair to bring up, but I think it matters to the situation. What the heck are you supposed to do?
I agree, because I think a lot of people are going to draw from the conclusion that she makes, but it's also difficult because there are at this point, so little facts surrounding. I mean, there's a lot of court documents, but there's not any, hard, concrete evidence that's directly
Many people have been
tying.
charged and found not guilty,
Right.
or
Yeah, absolutely.
even been innocent and found not guilty.
Yes.
Our buddies,
And there's a difference.
Danger Battaglia on ESPN talked to a reporter from WIP on Tuesday, and his statement on Twitter was, if this surprises you about LeSean McCoy, because listen, we have a pretty decent relationship with LeSean doing it through the show, I was shocked by this. I mean, I don't know the guy that well, but you know he's very charming, he's funny, he's very kind.
Absolutely.
The guy's statement was, if you're surprised by this, you have not been following LeSean McCoy, and he makes accusations that there were things that did make the papers in Philadelphia, where he works when LeSean was in Philly, and he points to other incidences that did make the public, that he says information that was in there didn't all completely get out. So, I mean, there are two camps here. One that see the charming, smiling, charity work LeSean McCoy, and guys that see a different side of LeSean McCoy. And again, that's what makes it more complicated, is you have these galvanized sides that both have ground to stand on based on previous experience, but it doesn't get us anywhere, right? It's people yelling at each other.
This is going to be a long time to resolve criminally, civilly, and oh, by the way, he's going to report, hopefully, to training camp in less than 2 weeks.
Or some will say, hopefully not.
Hopefully
Yeah,
not.
depending.
We'll see what happens. Previewing baseball second half coming up on the Rochester Press Box.
The Press Box, brought to you in part by Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. Call 262-COMP, C-O-M-P, today.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Rochester Press Box presented by the Genesee Brewhouse. This segment brought to you by Connors and Ferris. Guys, MLB's first half of the season wrapping up. It's about to be the All-Star break. What are we expecting from the second half? It looks like in the American League East, Yankees, Red Sox, and then everybody else,
That's
right?
the American League. And Houston.
Yeah, don't forget about the Astros.
I like the Astros.
They did win the World Series last year.
I mean, I think that if you look at this year, it's been so fun to watch, specifically with the American League, with the Yankees and the Red Sox having that rivalry kind of come back. And then you also have Houston. I mean, I'm personally not the biggest baseball fan, but watching these offenses has been fun. It's been entertaining.
I like to watch the Twins bullpen go to work.
Oh.
Because everybody who says, "Peace, there's not enough offense in baseball," they don't watch the Twins bullpen.
Sarcasm.
Or some of the
Anybody
Twins starters.
Not up to it here. Yeah, it's been an interesting season for the Red Wings Major League affiliate. They're probably going to be selling big time at the trade deadline. What are you expecting, Kevin? You know Minnesota baseball.
Well, they were fooled by last year.
Yeah.
Last year was a mirage. Everything fell into place. Escobar hit, Rosario hit, everybody hit. Now they don't have their key guys. They don't have Irvin Santana on the mound. They don't have Buxton in the lineup. They don't have production from guys who Logan Morrison forgot how to hit. Brian Dozier doesn't hit home runs anymore like he did. Joe Mauer's old. They don't have a catcher who can hit. So, yeah, they have some holes.
Thanks for
and yet,
painting a rosy picture for the
except they
Minnesota
came into
Twins.
the season thinking things would be fine. And how come every other team that goes out and signs, not every team, but they sign free agents to fill gaps, the Twins do, and none of them pan out?
It's been years.
Lance Lynn can't pitch. The guys, it's amazing.
Well, I mean, you hit those dry spots for a decade every once in a while, right? I mean, that's not you laugh, but that's not
91.
uncommon in Major League Baseball, right? I guess the most interesting thing to me is what the Yankees are willing to part with to make sure they have the pieces to compete for a World Series
Sonny Gray
championship
has
this
got
year.
to go.
Oh,
They
okay.
cannot stay in their rotation.
Yeah.
How much of their young talent do they give up that's not on their roster
They
now?
talk about trying to get Manny Machado, but they need a pitcher more than another bat, right? I mean, that has to be where they go.
You're 100% right, but you have to look at it this way. We were just talking pre-show, right? You have Bryce Harper and Mike Trout around the corner as free agents. I think everyone is kind of assuming at least one of those guys is going to end up in New York. So what young pieces that could complement those guys and be successful players moving forward for the next 5 years are you willing to separate with a season or two to go before you have one of these superstars on your team? And it's going to be interesting to see where the Yankees' heads are at in that vein.
It is amazing to see some of the trades that the Yankees have pulled off over the last few years. I would just like to remind people in Rochester that they traded Aaron Hicks for John Ryan Murphy.
Who's now got like 10 home runs in Arizona? In Arizona, not in AAA.
Not in AAA.
He couldn't hit 3 home runs here.
Wasn't he out of baseball a year ago, basically?
Well,
there you go.
Again, another one of those deals that seems.
But Aaron Hicks is doing very, very well. So the Yankees have kind of fleeced other teams from time to time, and they have so many pieces still that they can move. I've always talked about the idea of moving Gary Sanchez. He's not a good catcher. He's not hitting very well this year, although he has power. Austin Romine is doing okay. Sanchez, you could move. Thoughts on that? Am I crazy?
So good behind the plate, too.
Right, that's what I mean.
is. I mean, he is, but is he ready? You ready for him to be your guy? Is that your guy? You ready to go with him moving forward, straight up? Is he? Is he, Jenna? Is he? I'm sorry. I'm
Rapid
excited.
fire. I'm really passionate about Roman. But I get what you're saying, because you need to be comfortable with him taking over that top spot, which, again, that's a decision that team needs to make for them.
Real quick, though, can they catch Boston?
Yes. I believe so. I don't see why not.
I think it's a great race to the end.
Yeah, I think so.
Very good. Like it or not, when we come back.
Here's the Press Box Trivia question, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Here's the Press Box Trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Rochester Press Box presented by the Genesee Brew House. We are on location at the Genesee Brew House this week. Downstairs, gift shop, upstairs, food, some of the best outdoor seating overlooking the falls in Rochester. If you haven't come and check it out, make sure to do just that. Like it or not, guys, Carmelo Anthony given permission to talk to other teams from the Oklahoma City Thunder.
You gave. He can talk to him.
You gave.
They might not talk back, but he can talk to him.
The Thunder gave Carmelo Anthony a guaranteed $27 million with no out other than him wanting to leave. What idiotic team to... Oh, the Thunder did that.
You have to do this. And here's the thing. Melo could look him in the face and go, I'm not taking anything less than $27 million. And they're still going to give him his out. If the Lakers end up signing or trading for Carmelo Anthony, you can be 100% sure that LeBron James is running that team, because no general manager in their right mind is taking on Carmelo Anthony for the league minimum, especially on a team like that, because there's only one basketball. The guy has been arguably the biggest disappointment as far as what expectations were to what he became in Syracuse basketball history, and he is a locker room destroyer. Yeah. So I will finish my point with how I started it.
I don't think anybody has anything to add there unless you feel like laughing. Big booming laugh.
Why would LeBron want him?
Because they're friends. He's part of the Banana Boat crew. I mean,
okay.
That's one guy he'll take a back seat to is LeBron James. Otherwise, $27 million. Yeah. Like it or not, sticking with the NBA, Jenna, Commissioner Adam Silver saying that the Warriors are not bad for basketball. They just signed DeMarcus Cousins to go with everything else they have.
Are not that bad.
Yeah,
which
there you go.
That's like when you eat something, you're like, it's not that bad for
Yeah.
you. Like, here's the thing. Obviously, the Warriors now having Cousins on the team, I mean, they're just stacked. And I think they're going to villainize themselves because they're going to be so good. But at the same point, I mean, in terms of being a fan of the NBA, if you're looking at it, like, you know who's going to win during the regular season. You know, and it's not going to make... The part about sports that's great is, like, what could happen? What are the possibilities? And I feel like when this KD team, as long, with Warriors, takes the court, you're going to be like, oh, okay, well, they're going to win. Obviously, there's the playoffs that you have to get through, LeBron being in LA, but at the same point, I just think it makes it boring. I think it makes the regular season just a snooze fest.
The NBA has always been run by dynasties, Lakers, Celtics, Bulls. You look back at it, Spurs, but it's never felt quite like this in terms of just a crazy super team with 5 All-NBA
those
players.
years, you thought another team might
had a shot.
Just no chance.
knock them off in one of the playoff rounds.
You are using revisionist history. Did anybody really think the Bulls weren't going to win the championship every season? Rodman, Pippen, Michael Jordan.
Didn't the Pacers push them to like 7 games one year?
Didn't the Rockets push the Warriors to 7 games in the Western Conference Finals?
And then they added DeMarcus Cousins.
Exactly.
His knee isn't even a real knee right now.
It's an Achilles.
Whatever.
Yeah,
That's an argument. That was Achilles yet.
Kevin, like it or not, the Sabres having a competitive future in the Eastern Conference of the NHL.
They have a competitive future. It's not, and they'll, you know what, they will be competitive this year. But playoffs are a long shot at best. I mean, at least there's a reason to think this rebuild is now on its way. Ryan O'Reilly was an important part of the puzzle in some ways, but they didn't have enough guys on their roster that were NHL players. They get 2 guys, possibly overpaid, definitely past their prime, yet 2 guys who can play in the NHL today and be effective, and they lose 1. So as far as I'm concerned, they added a key ingredient.
On the note of Ryan O'Reilly.
Dahlin is tremendous, will be on the back end. They just got a ways to go.
Speaking of Ryan O'Reilly, how much did you pay for that jersey?
Oh, I bought it when he was still on the team.
fair
This
enough.
is my goodbye.
Sure, wait until he left. He lost
This is your
Oh, what are you, a stockbroker? Thanks for the tip.
Well, you know.
Unfinished business. So we come back on the Rochester Press Box.
Here is the MVP Experience Stat of the Week, brought to you by Sport Clips, where it's good to be a guy. No appointment ever needed.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one.
Bold meets sweet. With Dunkin's new brown sugar cold brew. Sweetly balanced with brown sugar.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Rochester Press Box presented by the Genesee Brew House. This segment brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. It is time for unfinished business. Pat, get us started.
The Toronto Maple Leafs signed John Tavares 2 weeks ago to a 7-year, almost $80 million contract. And everybody in the Eastern Conference of the NHL is saying, what's the point of even coming out anymore? Folks are shivering in their boots in Buffalo because Toronto is this juggernaut. I, as a Sabres fan, am very excited for this because I get to watch and listen to all the excuses as to why the Leafs are not going to even make it out of the Eastern Conference over the next couple of years. The Leafs haven't won a cup since, what is it, 67, Kevin?
67. Why don't Sabres fans chant 67?
My point is this. Last year, they set a record for what? Most consecutive wins in a season? It was unbelievable, and this team was unstoppable until they got into the first round of the playoffs and lost to a Bruins team that got run the heck out in the second round of the playoffs. It has nothing to do with the players you bring in and everything to do with that sweater. The Leafs don't win. The Leafs won't win. And you've got a 3-year window with Tavares to make it work. Because every year after that 3 years, well, you've got the decline in Tavares. You've got contracts leaving because of the money you signed him. So I cannot wait 7 years from now when I'm reading in the Toronto Star or the Toronto Sun and all these papers, what went wrong with the Tavares deal? And you heard it here first. Because God, I hate the Leafs so much.
Thanks for plugging newspapers.
I can't wait for you to be so bitter.
It's not going to happen.
And so wrong?
Not going to happen.
No.
Oh, yeah, I'm really worried. Nazem Kadri.
They have gone longer than the Sabres have without winning a cup.
Yeah. Touche.
So, Major League Baseball, led by Rob Manfred, is talking about banning the shift because, like, guys can't hit anymore because they can't get on base because defenses know where they're going to hit it. Whatever you do, don't ask a batter to change his swing. Don't ask a batter with 2 strikes to maybe change his approach. Just keep swinging as hard as you can, and if you hit it out of the park with that great launch angle, whoo, we got a home run. And if not, you'll hit it into the shift and you'll be out because, don't do anything except, the shift is bad for baseball. Hockey doesn't have enough scoring, they say. Let's throw 2 pucks onto the ice at the same time. See how that works. It makes about as much sense.
I thought we were going to get through a whole show without a get off my lawn moment. We didn't make it.
Although I am on his lawn with him right now,
am
yelling
too,
at other kids.
actually.
I want.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're not. My lawn. It's just, this is a game, launch angle, hit home runs, hit it as hard as you can, and don't ever change your swing when you have 2 strikes, because why would you do that?
Is there going back from that at this point?
Apparently no. Teams don't even ask their guys to.
Jenna?
Okay, Bills training camp, as we all know, right around the corner. It starts July 26th at Fisher College. And here's the thing. I think people really need to get out there and see the Bills this year and the next couple of years because the Bills contract ends with Fisher in the early 2020, 2021. And I think by the way we've seen Sean McDermott as well as Brandon Beane controlling this team, they want to win. and they want to win on their own terms. And I think last year you even saw it. They really pulled back from having practices available to the fans, as well as having it on the field that's right on the stadium. They made it on the grass, so it wasn't as accessible for people to go and see. I think this team is focused on winning, and they don't really care about honestly pleasing the fans in order to get that done. That being said, I think it's important for people to get out now and see the Bills at Fisher, because I really think with the Ad Pros Training Center in Buffalo, I think this team is in the preparatory stages of moving things back to One Bills Drive.
One thing that's easy to forget, because we've had it for so long, St. John Fisher Bills training camp is unique compared to other training camps in the NFL.
The trend for the last 8-10 years has been bring everything back to your own complex.
I grew up outside of Albany, and that's where the Giants had their training camp. And I was very able to cover it when I was an intern and things like that. And then it left, and people were upset. But it's like people, I think, in the Western New York kind of forget that it is a treat. It is an honor to do that, because most teams, it's just right at their facility.
Time will tell. All right, guys, thanks so much for being here. Pat, get a new jersey.
It'll be
Jenna,
jersey.
Jenna, see you soon.
Come across that table at you.
Kevin, enjoy your lawn.
No, expensive.
And thank you for joining us on this week's edition of the Rochester Press Box.